Well, hey everybody, it is Mark, the Prepper Guy, talking to all of you. Today I'm going to do kind of a little bit of some information I caught online listening to some videos, not the mainstream media, God forbid. There are a few I listen to and actually trust. And I've gone down the list, the Duran with Alex Christoforou, Alexander Mercouris, Judge Napolitano and his guests, Ray McGovern, Larry Johnson, Alistair Crook. He's had Jeffrey Sachs on. And I really stay away from anyone that is mainstream or was mainstream or thinking of becoming mainstream, because I just don't fucking believe them at all, whatsoever. So I was listening to, I think her name is Lena Petrov, blonde gal, long hair. She has a channel, very smart on economics, and talking about the BRICS and the BRICS bloc and what's going on there in Asia. Now, we in America, we seem to think, I like Thai food and I know Taekwondo, and that's about all we really fucking know about Europe and Asia. BMWs, Mercedes, they make a good car, not anymore because their economy is in the toilet. And then, Thailand, Malaysia, all these countries are now switching to BRICS or applying for BRICS. And so right now, as it stands today, the BRICS worth is $28.5 trillion. So that's a lot of money. In fact, I got my notes here, 28% of the world GDP. So they're past 25%, closer to 30 actually percent. And it's a screaming example of what happens. Here in Malaysia, Thailand, Japan is now dumping our treasuries or whatever, because they're basically useless. And unless America and the banks and the Fed or whoever's fucking this mess up raise interest rates really high, it's not worth it for a country to buy treasury bills. And then when you look at it, you're paying a high price, and then America could shut you off, which we have done. We have proven time and time and time again that we are not trustworthy in the realm of economics, and we will use their money that they have in banks so they can buy oil and stuff, and we will just seize it, take it, and go, we don't like you, because yesterday we liked you, but now today you just shook hands with Putin, so what's going on there? And we think we're going to sanction you. Well, that's why Iran has joined BRICS, because they can't get a lot of stuff they want. From America, they can't buy microchips or whatever they need. So what they're doing is just creating an alliance with, BRICS. So I talked about this in my last episode. It's like the only store in your neighborhood is the American hardware store. And now all of a sudden they're sanctioning you, so your membership's been canceled and you can't go in and buy stuff. So what do? You have to pay people to go to the town next door and buy it and circumvent all this. And that's what they've done. With all this social, what do they call it? When Starbucks, virtue signaling. When Starbucks and a lot of these companies pulled out of Russia because Russia, unprovoked. What was that? It was unprovoked, which is bullshit if you have an IQ over room temperature. So they changed the names, and now they're called Stars. The logo's even the same, except the girl has one of them Russian cool hats on. And they're actually buying their coffee from Starbucks, but it's coming through other channels, so it can't be sanctioned and all that. And they didn't really sanction Starbucks. It was just Starbucks is like virtue signaling. They go, oh, we're not going to put up with this. Oh, how much? $1 billion in coffee? Okay, yeah, we'll send it through the back door. So my call is out to preppers, because no one else is talking truth to you. And I'm not the smartest guy on the map or anywhere. But I can look at it and go, you know, I'm a construction worker, I'm a contractor. I understand the algorithmic decay of what's going on, because that's part of international building code and everything. You have to take into consideration not just how it affects the building today, but what about 20 years from now and 40 years from now. So if you were to take a chain and pile it up on your workbench, and it's like in a pyramid shape, and you take the top of it off, and so you got the first 10 links, and you hang them over your workbench, it's fine. And then you move over a couple more links, and it's fine. And then you move over a couple more, and as you're moving them over, you see that it's getting easier to move over. Just like these BRICS nations and stuff like Malaysia, they're going, oh, it's getting easier for me to say fuck off America because of what they're doing over there. So eventually you drop a couple more links over, and what happens? The weight of that chain is now heavier than the effort it takes to move it over. So it doesn't even have to be touching the floor, because if it were, and the chain was there and then hitting the floor, well, then you're still winning. But eventually you're going to remove enough from the chain to where the weight of the chain to the floor, that space, is now greater than what it takes to move each link off your workbench. Good experiment if you want to try it and see how things in the physical world work out, and how they align with the economic and the real world. So eventually, little by little, it gets easier and easier, and then eventually, what happens? All at once, the whole chain just goes, and it starts moving, and it starts pulling the chain off the workbench until there's only like a little bit of it, and then boom, it's gone. So how long do you know, or do I know, is going to take for the little by little of the chain? Well, we don't really know unless we wanted to get all into it and weigh it and do all this fucking bullshit. But you kind of know that if you have a cantilever on your house, you can only overhang so much, with a 2x6, because it's still got weight on it. So it's no different than just parking a car on it and bouncing on the fucking thing. It's going to move because that's physics. So there's algorithms to figure out, how far can you cantilever with a 2x8, 2x10, 2x12, 2x14, because each of those numbers matter. So you're looking at the weight of a chain, and it doesn't matter if it's an anchor chain or just a small little swing set chain. The physics are the same. When there's enough weight hanging off the edge to pull that off, it just goes. Watch him drop a boat anchor sometime, and them links are probably 2-3 tons apiece. And what does it do? It just starts going down off the water. There's another mile of chain inside the ship, and it just pulls it all out and falls to the ocean. That is what is meant by little, then all at once. It's algorithmic decay. And that's what we're experiencing. So do we know which country will actually be the last one that comes off the edge of our workbench and just pulls the rest of the chain down with it? Well, no, we don't, because the world economy is huge. And we don't see it that way because we're just fucking Americans running around going, ain't I great? Like everyone in school is laughing at you, but you just are the kind of personality that looks in the mirror and go, fuck, I'm good looking. It's like, what? So it's happening. Now, as far as prepping goes, you need to be ready for it, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about prepping, but not in a, oh, you need beans, Band-Aids, and bullets. You just need to really up your game when it comes to critical thinking and what's going to happen. I assume most preppers that have been prepping for 4, 5, 10 years kind of got it figured out. And I would think that even the newbies out there that have went, I got to get ready for something. And to them, they need to look at what that something is. What do they really need to do? You got to take, stock in your family and the family needs. That's why I've recommended for years, go camping for the weekend. That's all you got to do. Study what your kids are doing, what they need, what they're crying about. Are they allergic to a bee and they got stung and now they got to be rushed to the hospital or whatever, or you have an EpiPen. All of that, you just learn. And you learn. Now, you don't go camping every fucking weekend. Maybe you only go camping 3 or 4 times a year. But that one trip tells you what you need to make your kids happy and comfortable, your wife comfortable. And if you can get through a weekend of maybe, leave Friday morning. So let's say you spend 2 nights and 2 days out there. If your family don't pack up and leave you sitting out there because they just hate it, then you've done good. You get an A on that one. But if you're an asshole, then they're going to want to leave. They will never go camping with you, and they will never leave or go out with you again, and they will never talk to you about prepping. And you will alienate your 2 or 3 children and your spouse like that. So, don't go running around like the fucking old father that was, an asshole, probably like yours and mine were. Do this. Why aren't you listening? Fuck, it's just starting a fire. How hard can that be? You just set the neighbor's fence on fire. Figure it out, God damn it. Then why would I want to be with someone like that? If I'm in a bar and trying to meet someone that's going to be my love of my life, and there's this girl that's just being kind of a bitch to the wait staff and everyone that walks up to her and everyone she talks to, and her friends are even rolling their eyes, just stay the fuck away. She got a death wish, just walk away. And that's what people do inherently. It's a genetic training thing to where you can tell. We alternate and we have all these instincts like fight or flight and all this stuff. And if you don't use them, well, fuck. What good is it? What good are your gifts that God gave you when you don't use them? So, to me, if I have a truck or a 4-wheel drive or something, I use it. I don't just buy it to park it. I don't got that kind of fuck you money. I use it, I drive it, I get scratched up. I have to replace the tires. I got a 2013 Tundra. I love it. It's still comfortable. Is it pretty and shiny and new? Well, if I wash it, it's kind of shiny. It's got some dents in it from, fucking damage of just life. But I don't care. It does what it needs to do. It takes my dump trailer mainly from point A to point B, the dump. I empty it and I come back and it stays there. And I drive it to work and it's still getting close to 20 miles to the gallon, so I'm happy. Now, did I see a new Ford Lightning the other day at the car lot? Yes, I did. And did I take a picture of its price tag? Yeah. In fact, I'm going to post that with this, in the show notes or whatever, if you can see them. And let you know just how fucking pretty it was. Does it do anything that mine won't do other than it's a 4-wheel drive? So we subtract out the 4-wheel drive because most of the time it's going to be a 2-wheel drive looking good. It's kind of like a high-maintenance girlfriend. Yeah, she looks great. She can't cook. She'd rather drink wine when you're out camping with the guys than beer. She's just high maintenance. That word solves it all right there. Bam. So as preppers, we need to look and determine and use our gift of discernment, which we all have as animals, and instincts. I mean, dogs don't speak. They don't hear English. And yet your dog doesn't like someone. Most of the time, over the long run, you'll find out your dog was right. So it doesn't take a fucking degree in human psychology. So start doing that and looking around and going, I need to be ready for whatever happens, whenever it happens. So like right now, I got the day off, I'm sitting in my yard. I got 3 or 4 projects I can't do because my neck and my pinched nerve is still kind of pissed off. But it's getting better, and I'm going to go see a sports therapist. and stuff. So I think it's better. The nerve pain has subsided a lot, and with that, I don't have any muscle pain. So I'm pretty sure my vertebrae are in alignment, and it'll just get better over time. But I bought all this stuff to do it with, and the minute I feel 10%, 15% better to where I can do some of these projects, I'm going to finish them up. So, what do you have left on your beans, band-aids, and bullets list? And I've talked about this ad nauseum. If you're going to be a meat eater, what you need to stock up on is going to be jerky, maybe a freeze dryer, not a dehydrator, a freeze dryer. Make your meals. I've got hundreds of pounds of hamburger, raw hamburger, freeze dried that'll last 20 or 30 years. And the beauty of it is, I can throw it in my backpack. It doesn't need to be in its special little room with no sunshine. I can throw it in my backpack, 2 or 3 of them. I think if I loaded up the whole thing, like I have 1 pound trays of cooked stew meat, with the broth, and each tray is 1 pound. And I can, when it's done freeze drying, it'll probably weigh grams. I can put it in a Mylar bag, seal it up with an oxygen absorber, and it's good for 20 years. Now I can pick those up, all 4 of them, throw them in my backpack and leave, which would be 4 pounds, but it's not. It's not even going to be a pound. And I can leave, and I can hike with that. I can buy beef jerky for walking and pemmican for eating for energy, because I don't eat carbs and I don't like plants. So I don't need to forage, which is good because this is Arizona and you're not going to forage for much. But I can shoot a fucking rattlesnake and eat that. So your mindset has to be keyed for what you're going to eat. And if that is your choice as the caregiver, father, mother of your family, and you're going to be keto, then the whole fucking family is going to be keto. Don't have extra meals and bullshit. And remember, this is stuff you're going to be using when the shit hits the fan. So if your teenage daughter's going to be whining and crying about having meat tonight when she likes chef salad, tough. Let her cry along with her phone not working and not being able to get in touch with her friends on TikTok. Because it's over. That's called normalcy bias. And when it's over, it's fucking over. It's not normal anymore. They'll get over it. Now, if you're going to be a plant-based diet with a touch of meat once in a fucking while, then you got to know how to forage. You got to move and live in an area where you can forage. And you're going to have a lot of dehydrated plant food and stuff like that. And in my opinion, it's not worth it. I don't like dehydrated oatmeal. I have some if I need it, but I probably won't put it in my pack if the world comes to an end. I have MREs, which are very high carbohydrate, but they got a lot of protein, which is another word for saying energy. But the reality is you need fat. Your body burns fat, or your body burns sugar. Just like my generator over right there. You can't see it, but it's right there. And, well, fucking let me do some fancy camera work. All right, so that is my partial house generator. Runs under here, the wires, and into here. Because we're talking about prepping. Oh, Jesus Christ. Boy, it rained like crazy last night. So, and there's the panel. There's my transfer switch, my water heater, all that shit. So, and the air conditioner. Well, I guess I put you back where we started, but whatever. So, that's my generator and that runs everything. So I'm prepared for quite a bit and I can cook a lot and stuff. But that generator runs on propane or gasoline. I haven't found a switch on it where I can do both at the same time, because it's stupid and that won't work. In your body is a switch, just like on that generator. And how it works is in the morning when you wake up, everything to your basal level is pretty normal. And if you eat like some toast or bagel or sugar or oatmeal and you have all of this carbohydrate, even though it looks good, you know, like you got a bagel with cream cheese and jalapenos and all that on it, and then have an egg, maybe. A lot of people don't even like eggs. So you got that, you slam your coffee, and you go to work. Now, most of that is a carbohydrate. And if your carbohydrates gets up above 32 microliters per per deciliter, and you can check it with one of the meters, once it gets past 32, the switch in your generator switches over from, let's just call it, let's see, I get more energy out of that generator if I'm running gasoline than propane. So it switches over to propane, which is less energy because it's carbohydrates, so they don't have as much calories in it. And that switch will stay flipped for 4 hours. Now this is your weight loss lecture. Pretend I'm the old man in the college class trying to teach you a little teeny tiny bit of biochemistry. So that switch flips because of the sugar, the carbohydrate in your body, and now it can't burn fat at all for 4 hours. So that egg you ate, it's almost like putting gasoline in your truck and just letting it spill over for, I don't know, a minute or two. It's just like, I got to fill my tank, plus I'm going to dump this shit on the ground. Why? I don't know, just because somebody told me it helps me get better mileage. So that's what happens to that egg. Now, you don't get a lot of energy out of the bagel because it's carbohydrate. And you might get a little bit of energy from ketones and stuff from what was in it before that switch flips. But that switch will flip. It's not just like, well, I ate a bagel. It's still digesting in my stomach, so I'll get some of the ketones out of it. No, you won't. Your body knows that you're swallowing sugar the minute you crunch up a potato chip and swallow it. All the enzymes are already awake and ready to go. It's a fast, rapid response team. Because sugar in your blood is bad. So your pancreas creates insulin to take that sugar and force it into your muscles for energy. It's very inefficient. Just like that generator is very inefficient compared to gasoline. So you get hungry at, I don't know, 10 o'clock, maybe. You know, that bagel wasn't that big. I mean, you forgot to put cream cheese on it, whatever, I don't care. So now you're hungry. That switch hasn't flipped. You're like, geez, I don't understand. I had 3 eggs and 2 bagels. I should be stuck. No, your muscles are not getting energy. Your stomach is not an indicator of whether your tank is full or not as far as energy goes. So now you eat a Snickers bar, or you grab a little thing of Pringles or something and you start munching on that and you think, that'll hold me over, and it will. It'll hold you over. And your body will get more insulin to take care of that sugar in your blood vessels running around like propane, almost as bad as having water in your gas. And it's got this chemical that's taking that water and magically turning it into steam for your engine to run. How about that? So then you do that. So at lunchtime, your switch has reset the minute you ate those Pringles. It's like, oh, fuck, bam. And see, as you're working your way up to the 32 micro units per deciliter, it's cutting off fat burning, you know, by 10, 20, 30%, 40%, and then pretty soon, little by little, and then all at once it just shuts it off. Because it cannot burn ketones or even create them when it's removing sugar with the insulin. So you do that all day, and at lunch you decide to have a hamburger because you're going to try this keto thing your friend's been talking about, and he looks good, and he's thin and got a lot of energy. So you eat a hamburger, it's got a bun on it, it's got all this on it, it's got lettuce, and fuck, it came with fries and Coke, might as well drink that. Well, what happens? I mean, when you really look at a meal, you get a Jack in the Box meal, you know, Coke, fries, and a hamburger. Well, that's a single hamburger, so it's a quarter pound. Not a lot going on in there, but there's a lot going on with the sugar in the Coke and the sugar in the fries and the sugar in the bun, and a tomato and ketchup all have carbohydrates in it. So now all of a sudden, what happens to it? It just flips that switch back on, and it's like, I guess we just move it back up to off for burning fat. The hamburger goes on to your gut, layers it all over like stucco, another layer of stucco on your body. And then you get it home and you're fine now. You add a Coke and fries and a quarter pound of meat. And then you have whatever you have for dinner. And you just start the cycle over and over and over. Now, on a medical way of looking at it, that is horrible for you. And if you're a prepper in a shit hit the fan scenario, you're eating air. You might as well be eating lettuce or paper, because you're getting very little carbohydrate or calories out. And if you count calories, you'll know instantly how much is in a head of lettuce, a cucumber, because plants, they don't have much, but they have fiber that they tell you is good for you. But fiber is not good for you if you study that. It has to ferment in the gut, which takes water, which creates inflammation. It creates basically off-gassing, so you have an upset stomach, or it's always, you got diarrhea or something, because that's all. It can't produce it and break it down enough until it ferments it. So you can do whatever you want to do. But if you're going to be a plant-based diet or a vegan and you think Mark is crazy, that's fine. You can read Lininger's Biochemistry like I have done. You can read The Glycation Factor by Gregory Ellis, which I have done 4 times. And you will find out that a carbohydrate in the medical terminology was not required 50 years ago. It's just like, carbohydrates, it comes from sugar. Don't eat it, it's bad for you. Now we've flipped that script, just like we flipped the script on America being a republic. Now we're a fucking democracy. So whatever your diet will be, just think about it, pick one, and then start getting ready. If you're going to be a plant-based diet guy, you need to start buying freeze-dried food that you think's healthy for you, beans and rice or whatever, and you need to have it. You need to buy Mountain House meals and stuff so you can bug out. And then you need to learn to grow things. You definitely need to learn to forage, because I'm sorry for all these preppers out there that are going to hunker down. No, you're not. It takes a lot of land. I was watching one lady. She's alone because her husband died, and she has her whole backyard is a garden, and most of it she has to give away because she can't eat it fast enough, and her pantry's just full of this crap, and you can't dial it back because you have to have a percentage over what you're going to need, because a lot of times bugs eat it, or it's a drought, or they were over there in the sun and they got cooked for some radiation problem, maybe an atomic bomb. So that is visible from your neighbors. Your city might go, hey, that person's still watering. What are they watering? Because most person only needs a couple gallons a day to wash, shower, and flush. Must have a garden. And you know fucking well that the government, whether it's local or county or state or whatever, is going to notice your water consumption, and they're going to know you have a garden, and they're going to come and take it and shut your fucking water off, because you're now a hoarder. So now you got to move. See, now you're no longer hunkering down because they caught you. It's like wearing a big fucking flag, really, or a target flag. So pick wisely, do your homework, and then once you're kind of comfortable, as you're setting back, learn to read the writing on the fucking wall. Because if no one is paying attention to what's going on in the prepper community, then you kind of have blinders on, or you've been in your bunker too long and you haven't come up and actually looked at the weather but your meter's reading wrong and you think it's fucking raining and it's not. And I'm thinking, my wife and a friend of mine asked me, well, are you going to vote? And I was like, I don't think so. So I got, all the bullshit. Well, if you're going to be part of the system and you're going to bitch about it, you should vote. I was like, no, I shouldn't. Because when you really look at my city, all they do is kick the can down the road for the state government. And the state kicks the can down the road for the federal government. So I don't have any representation in this. I don't have a dog in the fight anymore. Because the federal government issues its decrees like a king, and then the states go, yes, master, and then they go to the counties and go, hey, do this, and they go, yes, master, and then the counties come to my city, and through all of the year or 4 years of media bullshit and fucking doublespeak and co-opting our rights and all that, the city goes, okay. So like, we were going to build a shooting range in our town here. And, there's a place. I mean, you can shoot in Arizona anywhere you really want. But they thought, well, let's go over here. There's a giant backdrop and all of this stuff. It's like, 200 feet high, and you can shoot and have a nice, not a shooting range, but just a city-funded kind of nice place to shoot where they would kind of grade it and get the roads cleaned up a little bit. It was like it was like building a swimming pool or something else. And then the state, the county started going, well, we're not sure, and what about this, and what about that? And I don't know if your mother was ever that way or your father, just worried about fucking everything. In fact, you didn't get your license till you were 18 and moved out because they were just so afraid of you getting hurt. I'm sure there's people out there that way, especially younger ones than me that have helicopter parents. See, my mom was like, here's the keys to the car, get the fuck out of here. So they just, the counties just sit there and go, well, yeah, but, what about public safety? What about this? What about that? And I was thinking about it today when I had my court case about my building permit. And I didn't think about it. It's also a violation of my Fifth Amendment because they can't take my property and give it to the public, which is really what they were saying. They're like, your property here, yeah, we know it's private property, Mark, don't freak out. But what if your house gets on fire and causes a fire on public property? It's like, well, then my insurance will pay for it. No, we're going to co-opt your right for public property. Private property for public over there, which is basically like handing my property over to the public. No different. If I had a good enough lawyer, he could probably prove it 1,000 ways to Sunday. So not only was it a violation of this, that, and the other thing, but when I talked to my city council about it, when this was all going on 2 years, right during in a little bit like 2021, 22, the whole COVID bullshit, all of them, I know them. My brother, the mayor, the vice mayor, past town council people. So I had 3 of them right in agreement with what I thought was happening. They were like, you're right, this is fucked up. And then finally the mayor had enough fucking cojones or whatever to tell me, the problem is, see, we vote on ordinances and then we hand it to the city manager and the city attorney to make sure that happens. So they go, we can't do much about it without violating the law. And I was like, well, you could rewrite the ordinance and have a new vote on it, can't you? And they're like, well, yeah, we could do that. It takes some time. I go, it doesn't take time to fucking do the right thing. They're, well, we'll look into it. I said, all you got to do is change the wording in the ordinance that makes it a bunch of shit to constitutionally correct. Well, then, they get all into this and that, and then they go to their their city attorney and go, what about this and what about that? And the city attorney pitches the same bullshit that the county told him, that the state told him, that the federal government and the EPA told them. And they're like, Mark, we can't do that. That would be wrong. I was like, wrong to make it correct? You're still got an ordinance. All you got to, you were wrong in doing it the first place. Well, our lawyer doesn't think so. So who's in charge of my fucking city? The federal government, the EPA, the Bureau of Land Management, whoever the fuck it is that's passing down these ordinances, these decrees, these fucking, so let it be written, so let it be done. And then the states are like, oh yes, master, hey, what about that $100 billion we need in federal welfare, because we're running behind. Oh, we'll get that to you. We're voting on it next month. I mean, you'll go broke before then, but and then we're going to cut it in half, and then we're going to tell you no, because we've stole all your land that you could have used for mining and logging and drilling, all that. Now it's ours, and you need us to give you more allowance. We'll take it under advisement. And then the states go, well, you can't build that shooting range over there. The EPA says you might shoot a fucking squirrel. And the city's just like, oh, okay, yes, master. So why would I vote for them? They are persona non grata to me, and they're persona non grata to the state and the county, because those two groups don't fucking care about you either. So when you really look at it, power now filters down from the top, and we're at the bottom. And it should be flipped around, that the people tell the states what the fuck to do. And then the states go, oh, okay. And then they appoint senators to go to D.C. and go, hey, everybody in my state says go fuck yourself. What? Oh, I gotta go. My plane's getting ready to leave. They just fucking leave. Tell them no. Just fucking say no. And when they ask you questions and they beat around the bush and all that, just tell these bureaucrats in Washington, shut the fuck up and answer the question. But they won't do that. What they do is the federal government says, shut the fuck up, go tell your people that that's in direct violation of the EPA, blah, 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 128, section 1099, paragraph 450, section Z. Look it up. Why are we talking? You're wasting my time. And if you watch any of these shows about, like, back in the days, and the kings and the queens and the knights and the whatever and the counts and all they did was fucking party. And when you talk to them about it, they're like, what? What are you talking about? And it's like, well, this is happening. I don't want to hear about it. If there's really a problem, I'm pretty sure my duke of that area would tell me about it. I'll talk to him about it. And then they go talk to the duke, and he's like, I don't know what they're fucking talking about. We're taking good care of him. Okay. I got a party to go to. I just wanted to get that off my conscience before I got drunk and got laid. So it's upside down. You cannot fix it. I cannot fix it. And if you think voting for Trump is going to fix it, you're totally wrong, because Trump did the same fucking things in the world that's getting us in trouble as Obama did. And Trump did away with a lot of red tape that shouldn't be there. But you know what? He could have done like Vivek Swami was saying. You could literally fire 90% of all the civil workers and all that, because the way the law is written, he could just send them all their little pink slip or whatever it is nowadays and say, see ya, fuck off. Here's whatever was built up in retirement. You got 60 days to put it into an IRA or something, or we're just going to confiscate it. Okay, got shit to do. Bye-bye. See, that's why we're not voting for the guy that would do the best fucking job for America, because it's a selection process, not an election process. They're going to pick who they want. That'll be your fucking president. Shut the fuck up. He will appoint a bunch of judges like Trump did, 200 judges, and probably all them judges that are fucking him are probably the same ones he fucking appointed. No one has any morals anywhere, and no one has any integrity. So what do? We're going to fuck Trump. So Trump did what he could. Good on him. But you know what we need? A president that focuses on one thing: foreign affairs. That's his job. It's in the Constitution. And then the only reason he cares about state laws and stuff is when he has to write an executive order telling the IRS to stop doing that. You don't have any constitutional reality doing that. And then they go, oh, okay. So, or he can write an executive order to say, I need all the marshals and the troops rallied around. We got to go over there and stop that. That's unconstitutional. It's not just I don't like it. It's unconstitutional. They're harassing, Mexicans or blacks, or they got the back door wide open and their responsibility is to fucking shut it. Go over there and shut the door and tell them what the fuck's going on. That's it. And then your state governors and all these other fucking state yahoos are supposed to watch our back. What do? They change all the voting laws for mail-in because of Fauci and the federal government. And, oh my God, there's a fucking pandemic. More people are dying than ever before, which turns out to be a fucking lie. So they just keep co-opting little by little, and then all at once. So the door's wide open. The election was all fucked up. Everything got fucked up. So as preppers, we have to prepare for this that is coming, and you need to be watching the chain slowly being pulled off the workbench little by little, because we don't know when it's going to just reach that critical point. But I'm pretty sure when 9 pounds of chain is hanging down there and you got this, but it only takes like a little bit, you could almost probably move it over with a fucking paper straw. You're pushing the limit of that 9 pounds, and eventually that 9 pounds becomes 10 pounds, and then it just yanks it off the fucking workbench. And that is what we're waiting for. Not waiting, but we're watching to see it happen when it's all at once. And know what will happen? Every country in America, in the world, will go, we're with BRICS. We've sold all of that. And the only reason they're taking their fucking time is because they have treasuries that they're trying to sell. Like Japan is selling their treasuries because their economy is so fucked up doing what we've been telling them to do for 50 years that they need to raise money. And they have all these bonds, so they go, oh, I have this asset over here, I'll sell it. And as all the bonds get sold all around the world, and they become basically paper dollars, look at it that way, I mean they're digital dollars, but still, let's pretend they're all paper dollars. And now they're bringing in container ships full of dollars, $100 bills, everywhere. Now all of a sudden, you're not worried about where you're going to get $100. They just pick it up on the ground and just blowing in the wind. There's so fucking much of it. Unfortunately, a loaf of bread now costs you $300,000, like in the Weimar Republic. So keep an eye on what's going on. I'll put a list of links. I don't know if they'll show up being hyperlinks, but of people I trust that I can listen to. And I think you get a better perspective not listening to Sean Hannity's of the world or the people that replaced Rush Limbaugh. To me, they're all still mainstream media. And I don't know if Hannity is just bought and paid for by the Murdoch family or if this is his opinion. But if your opinion is one way and your morals is another, then just stop listening to them. That's all you can do. Stop giving them your money through your clicks or whatever, how it works nowadays. Just walk away. So I don't get a lot of news every day, maybe 2 hours. Just while driving, I'll put on a podcast on YouTube and it plays in the background. Maybe at night I'll watch some stuff on YouTube, and then I switch over to things I enjoy, like welding and how to build this out of that and how to fix something and how to be better as a prepper, how to be a better father or a parent, and these things. And I just watch them because they fascinate me. I'm fascinated with hydropower and water. And if you're lucky enough to live in an area that you have a good stream or creek or river, I watch the guys on Alaska shows, and they have that big wheel that just goes around and scoops up fish all day long, and it dumps them into their boat almost, or whatever, where they put them. And it's amazing because the power of water is unfucking real. And the Hoover Dam puts out maybe a quarter of the power that Palo Verde nuclear plant does. But look at all the maintenance and the high cost and the danger and all that. Where a dam, just water flows through, creates electricity. They can divert it from time to time to pull the generators and rebuild them. But I'm pretty sure the staff of people that are on the payroll day to day and hour to hour is probably 10, 15 times less than that at a nuclear power plant. So you could dam up that river 4 times. If you could put a water mill, or what do they call that, like a paddle wheel, on your creek or river and let it fall. I've seen them do it backwards nowadays where it goes this way. But I think if you went it that way, I'm not sure. Maybe this dropping down into it keeps it more pressure on it. But I don't see why, if it was running off of the top and turning it this way. And if you have a lot of water that it's falling a long ways and it's pretty big and you divert it, you put a couple of 2,000 watt generators or 3,000, you charge your batteries, you're good as gold. In fact, if you just set that to just create electricity, say you need 10,000 watts and you had that big of a generator hooked to it and enough water flowing, then you wouldn't need batteries. You wouldn't need solar panel. That thing runs all the time, day and night. And the only problem with power stations is they have to manage the amount, only because they hate creating electricity that goes out on the grid and is never used. To them, it's wasteful. So they try to not do that. But if it's in your fucking backyard, it's just like the wind blowing your wind generator or something else. It doesn't care. You're not wasting it. It just got made, and then it got grounded and it went away. And you could run it over to batteries just in case your creek dried up or something like that. So I've been watching a lot of videos on that. I think it's fascinating. And I was wondering, they even have inline pipes now for your water lines that come in your home. I have 1-inch water feed, 1-inch main line that feeds my house and everything. Well, if I had like 25 little turbines on it that produced, say, 10 watts each, that's 200 and some watts. That's more than I'm getting off my fucking solar panels. And it runs 12 hours a day when I run the sprinklers at night and stuff like that, and showers and flushing my toilet. Would it be worth it? I don't know. That's why I'm looking into it. If I was rich and retired, that would be what I'm doing in my workshop. Because the water's under pressure. It's already come down, quarter mile from the tank. So that pipe is always under pressure. It's going to shove as much water through that as it can. So it's going to get all those things spinning like crazy. And if you ran them all the way up to the tower, to where the head started and stuff, you could be producing 1,000,000 watts. I don't know. A town could do it, a city or something. I thought I could do it. And I have me and my wife, my brother and his wife, and one last guy that's a renter that's been here forever, and his wife. So if we brought the main line coming in, which is still, 1 inch, then it's not just spinning them turbines when I'm watering my lawn, it's also spinning them when my brother's watering his line and taking a shower, flushing toilets. So we'd get even more power. And it could just go into a big battery bank or something. I'm not sure, but it's there. And usually the easiest solution is the right solution. We could power a lot. Maybe not the whole thing. It's not like we're going to light up our house like a Christmas tree. But what if it just kept your batteries charged at night? Because that's when I run my sprinklers. So now I could have my solar powered in the day, because I'm in Arizona, and I could have the water power at night, and probably some other little doodads running around that are magic power. And I'd be doing pretty good. I could throw a wind turbine up there. The wind fucking blows almost all day after lunch into the night. And who cares if it spins for 2 hours? That's nothing. It's like finding $2 on the ground. Would you bend down and pick it up? Fuck yeah, you would. So that's my podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Share it. if you liked it, or chop it up into different parts. That's why I've been trying to do that lately, is talking about things in sections. So try doing that. Give it a share, post it, use it. I don't care. I'm not a paid sponsor by anybody. I don't even get YouTube money. I just talk about things I think are important. And so you can definitely chop it up. You can record it on your computer or whatever and edit out my rambling sometimes and clean it up. I don't care. Just get the word out. Not my word, just the word. So I think in the next couple days I'm going to do some ranting and raving about some religious things I've been thinking about. And I know it's going to offend most of you. So I need you to all start reading the book of Genesis and stuff like that if you're religious, with an open mind, and mainly focusing on the war in heaven. Now, not all religions believe that there was a war in heaven, but a lot of them do. And that's what I want to talk about, because honestly, can you believe everything you read? Probably not. So you guys have a good week, what's left of it. I think today is Monday, the 24th, I'm pretty sure. So you got a whole work week ahead of you. Go out, make money, prosper, and get out of debt. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
We made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.